Hey everyone, welcome back to Parker's Tutorials. This week we're building a prop that you requested, and that would be a Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need for this build. 1 1/8 inch PVC pipe, 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe, 30 inches of 1 inch PVC pipe, a drill, a hot glue gun, a spring, miscellaneous nuts and bolts, a hacksaw, matte black spray paint, 2 plastic rails from the Thunder gun, part of a drawer slide, 1/2 inch PVC pipe, an old toy gun, a plastic lid from a big container, an X-Acto knife, and a Dremel. The first step in this project is to take a piece of 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe and cut a 30 inch piece. Then, using a yardstick, draw lines on the side of the PVC pipe, with the lines cutting the pipe in half horizontally. Then, draw the space where the slide will be on the side of the PVC. Next, I used a Dremel and cut the pipe in half horizontally. This was a very tedious and time-consuming process, so take your time. I also cut out the space for the slide. It should look like this. Next, I drew 6 evenly spaced holes on either side of the PVC. This will be the front of the gun. I drilled out holes starting with a small drill bit, then moving up to the size I wanted. I perfected the holes with my X-Acto knife and sanded them with some sandpaper. I took a 30 inch piece of 1 1/8 inch PVC pipe and cut out 1/3 of it horizontally. Then I glued the 1/8 inch PVC inside of the 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe so that the slide was an open cavity. Next, I drilled 6 holes on the bottom sides of the 1/8 inch PVC pipe, lining up with the holes that we drilled earlier. Again, start with a small drill bit and move up to the bigger one. Then I took a piece of 1 inch PVC that will act as a slider. I measured it and cut it to about 12 inches. It should slide in the 1/8 inch PVC snugly, but not too snug. I then glued a 1 1/4 inch washer on the front end of the gun. Using 1/2 inch PVC pipe, I cut a 5 inch piece that will act as the barrel of the gun. Glue it onto the washer in the front. It should look like this so far. Next, I took an old toy gun and cut off the handle with my Dremel. Put it aside for later. Get a large plastic container's lid. We're going to use this for most of the parts. I took a ruler and drew out the magazine holder and the part that will hold the trigger and handle. I cut them out and cut out the edges, creating 3D boxes. Then I glued them on the gun like shown. Along with the 12 inch slider made out of 1 inch PVC pipe, I cut a 3 inch piece of 1 inch PVC pipe and slid it and glued it in the front of the space for the slider, like so. This will be the thing that stops the slider from going forward anymore. I wanted the slider to slide back and forth with a spring, so what I did was drill a small hole in the front of the magazine holder and inserted a bolt that will hold one end of the spring. I also drilled a small hole in the slider itself. With the slider inside of the main gun housing, connect each end of the spring to each end of the slider and the front end of the housing. It should slide back and forth like so. Then I spray painted the entire gun with matte black spray paint. I made the magazine out of Lego bricks, and for the stock and rear grip, I used 2 plastic tracks from the Thunder gun and used a piece of foam on the back for a little comfort. For the scope, I used different small tube-shaped objects. I really just searched around my basement for these, so there's no exact plan, just something that looks good to you. Then give it a coat of matte black spray paint. Next, I took part of a drawer slide and glued it on the top of the gun. This will be what the scope is mounted on. Using hot glue, mount the scope in the place you want it. Give it a final coat of black spray paint and add a small glass thing from a magnifying glass in the scope. For the final step in creating the gun, I used the lid of the plastic container to construct the muzzle breaker. Paint it black and glue it on the front end of the gun. After that, you're done.
Dun 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 dun.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Parker's Tutorials. Now before we go, I have a warning for everyone. This is just a prop. It doesn't fire anything, it doesn't even work. But other people don't know that. Do not under any circumstances take this gun out in public and start waving it around. Police and pedestrians get really nervous about guns, especially nowadays. So when you're building this, have fun, but also be very safe. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Make sure to favorite and like this video and subscribe. And also leave a comment telling me what you want to see on future episodes. Alright, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye everyone! For more gun tutorials, subscribe to Kathy's Tutorials. And if you want to see last week's video, click the link on screen.